They go to work every day. They put a roof over your head. They feed you. They take you on vacation. Like, if you do the wrong thing because someone's whispering in your ear all the things that you think you want to hear and you end up pregnant, like what does that do to the family dynamic, right? Welcome to another episode of Truth and Tonic for Women with Dr. Traci. We're here today with Tiffany. Tiffany has been my longest and best friend since the age of around 10 years old. So, we have some secrets that can go to the crypt with us, but we will not divulge all of those today because you know what we're going to do? As always, we're going to make it make sense. So today we're going to make it make sense with birth control. Everything you wanted to know, didn't want to know, or pretty much needed to know about birth control. Hey, Tiff.
Hey, Trace.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How was your day today?
It was long, super long. 5:30 wake up.
5:30 wake up.
But you get up and work out that early.
I do. A little bit later, I get up at 6, roll myself into the gym and hear all kinds of craziness. Why the early wake up call?
Mine's just
what do you do?
Work and teenagers, working at the high school, dealing with teenagers all day.
So let everybody know why you are going to be one of those expert panelists when it comes to birth control today.
Well, probably because I have 3 daughters and I work with teenage girls. Well, I work with teenagers all day. And, I feel like just coming at it from a more of a not so much a medical, look, but more of just hearing people talking to kids, making those contacts or making those kind of friendships with these young kids where they feel open to talk to me. And then they talk to each other. So I kind of overhear things.
So what are we overhearing these days? What are the teenagers talking about these days? Are they talking to their parents about anything? Are they talking to their boyfriends, girlfriends?
My kids do talk to me. I don't know. I feel like you and I, when we were younger, we talked more to each other.
Right.
Maybe not so much to our moms. I don't know why.
Never to mine.
No, I wouldn't have talked to Reva either. That would have scared me.
Yeah. Black mother did not play.
So, but I do think just from the past 2 years of working in a high school that teenagers really like to be talked to, like not like they're adults, but like their opinion matters. You know what I mean? Because I think they go into classrooms with teachers and it's so structured and they're there to learn. But when it comes to actually like making those connections with adults in my office, because I'm not a teacher, because I'm a clerk there, it's more relaxed. They're not expected to, do work and learn things. So sometimes we'll, have casual conversations. So I'm not sure that they would all ask me about birth control, but quite a few have asked me, about boys, about this boy or that boy, and how do I approach that? So I do feel like if I ever needed to, there are a few kids that I would talk to, but more listen, because I don't want to give advice to somebody's kid that's not my own, of course. I could, maybe guide them in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like
Do you think that back in the day, if one of us overheard something that a teenager was saying, that our parents would have chirped in, meaning like it takes a village? Do you think that the times have changed between then and
I
now?
think so, for sure. Well, you and I were super close, and we had a few other really close friends, where, we would go back and forth to each other's houses. We would spend time with each other's families. So in that aspect, I think, that was like our village. I think that everybody now is so vocal about everything, the way they raise their kids, about politics, about religion, about probably even birth control, that they would be less likely to go and ask. Um, I feel like it might just, everybody has so many crazy different
Ideas.
opinions.
And I haven't been in the school system, like elementary school system, in quite a while.
Yeah.
But what is the curriculum around birth control, like health,
So
sex, education? What do children learn these days?
The only thing that I remember my kids learning. Now, you remember my kids are a little bit older. I mean, I have a younger one, but she's not that young. They were in middle school and they went to Fern Bank.
For sex?
Yes.
Get out.
Yeah. They went to Fern Bank for sex. And guess this, in my oldest daughter's class, they mixed
Did they bring sex into like animals? Is that how they did it? Or
no.
that was just like
That was just
that's
where they
the
went.
location?
That was
Okay,
the location.
okay.
And it could have been because they were in that small private school, you know. So I can't speak for public school, but in my particular instance, but they mixed it up and they took the younger grades to the STD.
Nice.
And then the older grades to the
pregnancy,
the beginning, you know, just that, you know, low level sex. So my daughter came home with STD information before she even had like.
And did you sign a permission slip? Did you know this was happening?
Well,
Did you think to yourself, "Oh my God, the kids are gonna go home today, and I'm gonna be like, okay, so this is a vagina, this is a penis. Let's make a diagram."
I said, well, you know, I had 3 girls, so I remember specifically when I told them what a penis was, because they didn't grow up with a little brother. They didn't know.
Inquiring minds want to know. When did you tell them?
So maybe I think it was before Sophia was a baby. So maybe like 5 and 7.
So they knew vagina and penis.
Knew vagina and penis. And it was really funny because they just thought it was hilarious. Because they didn't know. Yeah. They didn't know what that was.
Well, I mean, you know, what did we grow up with? TT and PP for penis, TT for vagina, your girly parts. What else? Like all the things that were not the thing.
No, not the thing.
High school coochie. Yeah.
I still think they probably say that.
Grey's Anatomy, we got VJ.
Yeah.
Which is still one of my favorites.
Yeah. So,
no, for JJ. VJ. It's JJ.
Somebody's name is probably VJ. They're probably like, no. So, you know, I get it's such a big mixture because, you know, the more I learn about teenagers, the more I see how different everybody is in the way they raise their children and the things they teach their children and the things children see. You know, before, you know, when we were teenagers, you know, and then of course I had children, but then all of a sudden they're teenagers and I'm like, you know, it's a different ball game. Yeah. But
do you think that we're hindering children by not having conversations about birth control? I mean, I'm saying, do we think in this age of social media, people not being socially apt to like hang out,
have a conversation,
is the birth control conversation needed, or is it overlooked, or like, where do you think it fits in today?
You know, I don't know. I could only answer for me, but I would hope that parents would realize that it's very much needed. I see a lot of grandparents raising their kids, their grandkids. I'm sorry. I mean, a lot of grandparents. But I have great grandparents
raising their kids their grandkids as their kids.
Yeah, because their kids had them so young and they were so irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know, I hear of a lot of really super young kids having sex.
Yeah.
You know,
What's young?
okay, so my 13-year-old was taking a test last week and she had to go to a testing site. And so when I picked her up from the testing site, she got in the car and said, Mom, I met a girl today who's my age, and she was here taking this test because she's homeschooled. And when I asked her why she was homeschooled, she said, Oh, I'm 3 months pregnant.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm glad that she showed up for her
No,
test.
yes, she showed up for her test.
That was good.
But
Initiative.
But
clearly no one had a conversation with her about
yeah, and I don't know, okay,
sex.
Would you think at 14 or 13 you should? I don't know.
Yes, I think so.
So, I mean, now I know.
I think that the earlier the better. And I know that we're in an age where social media and the abstract, and you're not hearing voices, and you're not doing all the things that we used to do as kids, which is like play kickball, stay out until like the lights turn on, and then you better be in for dinner. Those types of things, like kids are on their phones and on computers, so they're reading about things, and they're not necessarily reading about the birth control or the sex
but they're all reading wrong,
but they're seeing the porn and the sex and the
they glamorize it.
Yeah, the glamorization of like bodies. And
remember when I said to you, well, like, you love my kids like they're your own.
Yeah.
So, and my kids call you, and we've talked about it, and they've talked about it, and they said, do you mind if we call Aunt Traci? I'm like, no, why? You got to go to the source.
Yeah.
But you know, when they were younger and my husband and I had that conversation, we said, you know, it's going to be natural to talk to your friends about it, and you're going to want to talk to your friends about it. But you need to realize you have to find a trusted adult source to find the real information.
Or multiple.
Multiple is fine. But, you know, when we started talking about this, when you came to me and you had been talking about this, I said, well, we make a good team always, but this will be a really good place for you and I, because you have that medical background, and you are that source. You know, I might be a source of everyday living with teenagers and working with teenagers, but bottom line is you're the right source. Like, I would call you if I have called you.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like I mean, we're lucky in that sense, but I just would hope that people would, you know, find the right information to tell their kids, and they would want their kids to know how real it is,
right?
How real everything is. And, you know, some birth controls protect against pregnancies, but you have to worry about STDs too.
Right.
You can't.
Right. And I think that that's one of the most important things. So I'm going to start here with my first, you know, tidbit of information that's so important, because so many people don't understand this. And I would quiz all of my teenagers when they walked out of the office, and you would be amazed at the number of times someone tells you that they know something, but they don't know something, right? So I would say to them always, so birth control pills, condoms, right? Yes, Dr. Traci, I got it. What's the difference? Well, Dr. Traci, I'm not going to get pregnant. I'm supposed to use the birth control pills so I don't get pregnant. And I'm like, what's the difference between the birth control pill and the condoms? Well, what do you mean, Dr. Traci? Like, I'm not going to get pregnant. Okay, so let me explain it to you. Birth control pills. No. 98.5% of the time, depending on what you're using, you're not going to get pregnant. But you know what a birth control pill does not do?
Protect against the STD.
The STIs, right? So
STI.
we've gone from sexual transmitted diseases because we feel in the healthcare space that disease is so awful and shaming. So we changed disease to infection. It all means the same thing. So now we call them STIs. Birth control does not. Okay, let me go back. Certain types of birth control, they do not protect against STIs. So your birth control pill, your IUD, your birth control ring, your Nexplanon, your Depo shot, all great so you don't get pregnant. Condoms are how you don't get an STI. And I'm going to go into deeper detail about this in other episodes, but there are some STIs that condoms are a very good barrier against, but there's no 100% guarantee you won't get those STIs. So we'll talk about that at a later date. But right now, I want everybody to know that you have two types of birth control. Those that protect you against birth, pregnancy, and those that protect you against STIs, which we don't want, right? STIs can lead to all sorts of things that you don't even think about. You can have an STI and not know it. It can lead to infertility. It can lead to PID, which is a really bad infection that can cause you to go to the hospital.
Don't they link some of the STIs to like uterine cancer, cervical cancer, that kind of thing?
HPV.
There you go.
So this is a big subject that we probably need to spend a whole entire episode on. HPV is a virus, but sometimes it can be self-limiting. So that means that, well, number one, it is sexually transmitted. That's the only way you can get it. Now we have a vaccine, Gardasil, that protects you against it. You want to take it before you're sexually active. You need 2 doses, which is an injection. Afterwards, up to 45. There's 3 injections. Works marvelously. I suggest anybody out there that wants to protect their children from HPV to think about it. I know a lot of people in this day and age don't want to talk about vaccines, right? So vaccines are the worst, this, that, and the other, but HPV has some really real implications because it's one of those silent things. You can have it, it can be self-correcting and you're fine, but then you can have it and it keeps going and it has no symptoms. You can get cervical cancer, you can get anal cancer, you can get throat cancer, you can get vaginal warts. It's like a whole gamut of things, right? So that's why it's important to know that certain types of birth control do certain things, but my number one suggestion to everybody out there is both. Birth control with a condom, unless you're in a committed or married relationship. That's my advice to everyone out there. Certainly you can do whatever you want to do, but you'll want to get double protection. You don't want to have a baby and you don't want to have an infection, and definitely you don't want both at the same time, which can happen. Okay.
Or if you're young, you would just suggest a little abstinence.
I mean, since you're on your phones anyway, just stay in your room and talk on your phone for a couple more years till you're out of your parents' house, so you do not give them both a stroke.
Yeah. Don't bring any babies home. No. Not when you're that young.
No. I mean, we all say that, but then they bring them home. You're like, so when can I babysit?
Yes.
What can I do to help?
But I do think it's important to maybe even educate parents, specifically probably moms, on how to talk to your kid about sex. Well, you know, I think a lot of parents, I mean, you see it's a cycle, you know, I mean, you have young parents.
Pregnancy is especially a cycle.
Yeah.
But here's why
what about
I feel as though it's a cycle It's like your mom has you and she doesn't know how to be a parent, right? So then the only thing that she knows to do is to tell you, don't do it. Don't. Penises are bad. Penises are evil. Penises are the devil.
Or she doesn't tell you anything.
So what? No, they always tell you something. So now what do you want to do? What do you mean? A penis is the devil. I want to see it. I
I'll
want
find
to
out for
touch
myself.
it. I want to no, it's not. And my boyfriend said he loves me.
Oh yes, my boyfriend said he loves me. He loves me.
Love 13.
What about the story you told me about the teenager that was pregnant, and you said, "Oh, so you planned this?"
Oh, yeah. So, you guys, I'm in my office, and like I said, I love my teenagers. They come in, they have crazy stories, they look at you like you're stupid, and then they're your best friends. So, I think this girl was, I want to say maybe 12th grade, right? So, she almost was into college, whole,
Life ahead of her.
college, the whole 9 yards. She comes in, and I'm doing a history and physical, and I said to her, I said, so this is a planned pregnancy. And she goes, wait, what? No, it's not a planned pregnancy. I was like, it's not a planned pregnancy? And she goes, no. And I'm like, so you used birth control? No. You used a condom? No. And I said, so it was a planned pregnancy, honey. You have to take precautions
Or
not to get pregnant, or it was planned. I know you don't like to think of it that way, but you planned it.
And it can happen on the first time.
Oh, it only takes one time. So anyone that tells you no, it's the first time, especially those guys that are like, no, I'll pull out. No, they're not. They're not. And if they do, it's already when half of it is done. So it was planned.
It was planned.
You gotta read between the lines as women. And I will keep harping on this because literally I want it to make sense to everybody. We hear what we want to hear, right? So if all of your friends have a boyfriend and you start dating a boy and then he's telling all the things that you want to hear that makes you feel all giggly, that's all fine and well. But you need to take quiet moments when you get home at night and think to yourself, is this what I want? Is this
what does it look
the
like?
right thing? Like, I know that no one should live their lives for someone else. But if you're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, think about your parents, right? They go to work every day. They put a roof over your head. They feed you. They take you on vacation. Like, if you do the wrong thing because someone's whispering in your ear all the things that you think you want to hear and you end up pregnant, like what does that do to the family dynamic, right? What does that do to the family? So there's just so many things that I don't think that women, young women, even older women think about. They think about the moment, and they don't think about all the opportunities and the life in front of them. And that's the crux, right? Because women are everything. Like, we're everything. We carry life. We work, we support, we nurture, we teach, we do all the things. And it's great to do all the things, but you need to harness your power. And I think that this is one of the things that I want this podcast to really emphasize, that our health, our well-being is so important in so many ways that you just don't even know the power that you harness.
Well, I would totally agree. Even from a very young age, it's such a hard lesson because, when you're a young female, you're carefree and, like any young kid. I'm not just saying a young girl or anything, but you don't picture what your future is. You don't picture what tomorrow it looks like. And that's fine because you really should be living
And
that life.
developmentally,
Yeah.
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, and like you said, if you could teach your child like to come home and to, sit down and really think about your life for a few minutes, these are big decisions. I think having sex is a huge decision. And
there are no takebacks.
No,
once you do
no, there are not.
no
And it's
takebacks.
not. And I hear stories about teenagers having sex, and I kind of in my own time or space, try to figure out about their dynamic. Like, what does their dynamic look like? What are you looking for? Why? Do you want to know what it's called now when you have sexual partners and you're young?
What?
It's a body. How many bodies do you have?
What?
Yeah. How many bodies do you have? So when this girl,
it's crazy.
yeah. So this young teenager at the school where I work said to me the other day, that girl right there that just walked by, she has 20 bodies. And I was like, she has how many? And now, mind you, I just found out what a body count was like a couple months ago. I mean, I'm hip, but I'm not that hip. And, the lingo changes every 5 minutes. But she said, yes, she has 20 bodies. And I said, well, how old is she? Well, she's, I don't know. She said 10th grade.
And how do you know?
Because they talk about it.
But you remember
they brag
back
about
in the
it.
day,
I
people
know.
say a lot of things that weren't true.
Yeah,
that's another
high.
thing that's another thing that women have to worry about, right? So you have a boyfriend, you're in high school, you're loving your life, you're loving your boyfriend, you have sex, they break up, you break up, and then he tells his friend, and now every guy that wants to call and ask you out that you say no to, or if you go out with and maybe kiss.
Well, so you're right. You are right. You're totally right.
Now you're the
because you don't know. Yeah, you don't know. Like, does she hate her? And now they're talking about it. But I honestly think that it's a bragging right for most girls. I think it's a bragging right. I could be totally wrong, and I would never judge one of those girls because they're all just amazing. Teenagers are just amazing people. They're so up and down, but in the minute, in the moment, they are just trying to learn.
Yeah.
They really are just trying to figure it out, and they're trying to understand. And that's why I think, like I said earlier, if somehow parents were more educated on how to talk to kids, because some parents don't want to talk to kids, about it, and some parents don't mind it. Well,
okay.
But if kids are so casual about, oh, this is my body count.
Right. Now
they're so casual
that I really want to revisit. But thinking of solutions, right? Let's just say parents don't want to have the difficult conversation. So, and we're going to Firm Bank to teach the kids.
Yeah.
How about, is it a possibility for schools to involve parents in a sex ed communication course to talk to their children, while there's a panel of people that can help facilitate that conversation?
So we're not actually talking to the children. We're talking to the parents how to talk.
And the children. Like,
you could bring your kids.
Either or. Let it be like first hour the parents are with the panelists, and then the second hour the kids come in, and now we're all a big family talking about issues, because this child over here might ask a question that the shy one over here doesn't want to.
So I think that's a really good idea. I think it's a good idea. Possibility. I don't know.
Hey, you educators out there, I'm asking you, in the school system, is that a possibility?
Yeah. Would you, I think a lot of people would buy in to the knowledge. Yeah. To the knowledge. They might say, we as parents are going to go and talk to this panel, and we're going to go home and talk about it, because we've learned now, we've learned new things, because we all like to think we know everything, and we don't know everything. And why not go right to the source?
So I bring up that, and now I'm thinking in my head, the caveat to that is, we live in Georgia, right? We live in the Bible Belt. Is it going to be like, I don't want church in the school and
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want you talking about sex in the school?
Some places 100%. Some
So
places. I think it,
how are we going to educate our young people, our young women? It's
well,
crazy.
I think here, I think the more we talk about it and the more people listen to, your knowledge, my stories, and, my point of view, and what other teenagers are saying, maybe that'll help. I think that going into the schools is a great idea. I don't know how hard that would be. I think
Right.
that's probably, like you said, like church and state or whatever. But I think if this platform got big enough and you were
She
to,
meant when
this platform gets big enough, you were to say, let's take this on the road and we'll do local.
Right.
We go to a couple of local places,
Yeah.
and we have a night where we say, oh, come and have appetizers and drinks, and we're going to sit and I don't know, fill out something, ask us a question, or we just talk. And
Right.
but I think the more people talk about it, the more normal it becomes and the easier it becomes to talk about it.
And
Which
I
is what's
also,
important, because I
right.
think kids think their parents are idiots anyway,
Oh yeah, they
and they're
don't
not going to like it
understand
no
me,
matter what.
or they don't want to hear what I have to say,
Yeah.
or
they're
they're going to
not.
be angry. That's the other thing.
My kids were like,
Yeah.
just head down.
Yeah.
Like, how fast can we get this over with?
Well, here's another thing that I think is important that I don't think many people know. So, some of my coworkers have come up to me. They have children that are like 18, 19. They're like, hey, I just want to call you, taking her into the gynecologist, and they're going to do the exam and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, that's not what we do anymore. So here's an avenue that can help you if you don't want to talk to your child, you feel uncomfortable, you think you're going to give them the wrong information. Pediatricians are great, and your child can go to a pediatrician up until they're 18 years old. I actually think some pediatricians see children
I think our office is 21.
21. So your midwife, your GYN, there are places where your teenager can go from 11, up until menopause, basically. Adjacent to, incongruent to, like, the pediatrician, where we sit and we have a conversation. Your child comes in, we ask the mother to sit outside, the father to sit outside. So it's a conversation between a professional and your patient. All of that is HIPAA protected, and they can talk to us about birth control. We're not doing a pelvic exam until you're 21 or sexually active. So that's a myth. You can take your child to see any GYN and midwife. They're not going to do an exam. They're going to sit and chat with your child, figure out what's going on with them, how they feel about things, and just create a rapport so you feel comfortable going into your later years. You've seen this person, you know this person. You're like, remember when I haven't even started my period yet, and now I have my period. I'm talking about birth control. Like,
So
it's a very good avenue for children,
right. So
and parents.
So I think the one of the very important things for parents to know is there are a lot of avenues to help your child learn about this and be comfortable with the topic, and most importantly, get the right information.
Right.
Because it's fun to talk to your kids. It's fun to talk to your girlfriends. We talk, we chat.
Yeah.
We talk about stuff we don't know, and we talk about stuff we do know.
Right.
But it's important when it comes to this that the information is right. That's why I've even told my kids, like I said, talk to your friends. And if you don't want to talk to me, you need to find one or more trusted adults to get the right information, because that's what's going to keep you safe. That's what's going to protect you. Well, actually, if you follow their advice, and you do how they tell you, is what's
Right.
really tricky. And, you know, you could be in the heat of the moment and you could not want to disturb or piss your boyfriend off or something. And you can't do that. You can't look at it like that. And guys too, boys need to be protected against that too, because, you know,
And
there are
boys can be
girls.
protected against HPV also with the vaccination.
Yeah, because, you know, some girls want to have babies when they're young.
Yes.
And maybe your son doesn't. And so it's important for parents of boys, not just girls, to talk about this, because they need to know how to protect themselves. They don't want to be a teenage dad. Maybe they, you know, get this girl who wants to be a teenage mom. So it's equally important, boy moms, to talk to them.
Yeah.
You know,
because as parents, as women especially, if we don't know how to do something, you know what we do, right? We need the house painted and we know we're not putting up some blue tape around the corners. We're calling someone to go do the painting. When our car doesn't work, we call a mechanic. When this doesn't work, we call that person. Same with sex, same with birth control, same with those things. If you don't know how or do not want to because it's difficult, or you don't know the right information, call somebody, talk to somebody. I mean, we're a tribe, we're a community, we're here to like lift each other up. Don't think that you're in this alone, but definitely have the conversation. Birth control is monumental. I mean, we are looking at the state taking away rights that women have had for thousands of years, right? So they don't want to pay for us to have birth control, and they won't allow us to have an abortion. So this is where we're going. We need to start at the decision level, because when it gets past that, sometimes it's out of our hands. We got to figure out another way. And I think fundamentally, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is definitely power. And, you know, you have to think about your future. Think about, like what you said, how does this affect the family unit when you're young? You know, but again, it's not only about young people. There are older people who don't want to have kids.
Right.
They have to worry about those things. And, you know, they might not know the new things. Like they might not know, from what I've been told, that an IUD hurts.
Yeah.
Or they might not have been told, you know, there are other ways besides taking a birth control pill. Or maybe you're at a higher risk for blood clots. I don't know. I'm just, you know, so older people need to find out the correct information too. And there's always something new, I guess, right? There's always medical stuff.
New, but I like when you're sitting here talking about that, I'm thinking about, what about the teenager who has a baby and still doesn't know about birth control and thinks that they can go home and have sex and not get pregnant because they just had a baby? The same people who think that the first time they have sex that they're not going to have sex. So like, it's a conversation that needs to be had when, you know, you come across someone that's pregnant, a young person, talk to them about birth control and ask them what they know about it, because hello, you can have another one. Do we want to have another one? Like, what are we doing?
Right. Yeah.
It's a crazy kind of,
I think it's like kind of like mental health. People don't like to talk about it. No. People don't like to talk about sex. And
people like to talk about sex.
Yeah. Okay. They
like to talk about sex, but they don't like to talk about the fundamentals of sex.
Yes.
Which means
they like to talk about the sex, the fun part.
Sex, procreation. That's really what sex. Your body is made to do that.
You know what? I think about that. And I think about like the lack of birth control, you know, ends up in a pregnancy, or can end up in a pregnancy. But I don't think that teenagers think about STDs. No, I think of a teenage, and I'm not trying to say like that's all teenagers think about is being pregnant, but I should say, I wonder how many teenagers think about STDs when they're having sex.
Well, you know,
or before.
So many STDs now they're asymptomatic. They have no symptoms. You can have them for months, years, and not even know you have them. So I feel like,
And if you have a
they
body
don't
count of
think about it.
20,
Yeah,
you've just passed your.
yeah, and you have no idea. Like, especially males, they never basically show symptoms until
Oh.
it's dire straits, right? So it's all about context. It's like, hey, teenagers don't think about STIs because nobody's talking to them about it. It's like one of those things, like,
We talk about don't get pregnant or don't get a girl pregnant or don't get pregnant, but we don't talk about
there's
like
herpes. You want to talk about it? There's HIV. People think that HIV just totally disappeared, but
nope.
no, it's still there. Chlamydia, gonorrhea are the two most responsible STIs
What is that?
for infertility. So
Oh.
those two that can like be asymptomatic for months, years, those are the reasons that people, when they get in their 30s, 35, 40, want to
Can't
have a
babies?
kid, can't have kids because
Really?
they've scarred your fallopian tubes and you never even knew you had it. And it's simple to cure. It's just an antibiotic, but you don't know. Syphilis can kill you, make you literally crazy. But it's one shot of penicillin.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew it could make you crazy, but I didn't know.
This is why, and this is my next point. When you go to get an exam, whether it's your physical with your primary care physician or whether it's your GYN, and they ask you, do you want STI testing? And you're like, no, I've had a boyfriend for 10 years. No, I've been married for 20 years. No, ladies, get your test. Because one, we just want to make sure. We want to be 100% for sure.
But it could be something that was dormant
but
or something.
It could be something that one of you had from way back in the day and you never got tested. Every single year, get chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, HIV. Let's get it done. Because
really? Do you do that?
Every single time. I take the test so I know that if something happens, I can come home and kill my husband if something's awry. Because I don't like to wear orange, but I will kill him. But yes, I do, because you don't know what's out there. You don't know what people.
No, I get it. But yeah, totally. I totally get it. I would have never thought about that.
Time. And when I have patients that come in and I'm like, you want your, STIs, but I'm married, you should do it anyway. Okay. Always. Because you just never know. I've had people come in pregnant, married for 10 years, and I have to tell them they have HIV. You don't know. You do not know.
That must be a hard conversation.
It's a devastating conversation. Or to tell a patient who's like 9 months pregnant, they have chlamydia. And the husband's screaming at me, well, I didn't give it to her. Okay. Well,
I don't care.
You don't get it from toilet seats, people. You don't do that.
Well, isn't there an STI that can be passed on to the baby during delivery?
All of
crazy.
Them.
Oh.
All of them. Herpes, if you don't want to have a baby, you can blind your baby. So many abnormalities that you
can have a baby if you've had something. You just
can't have a baby with whatever. But you want to know that you have it, and we want to know that you have it so we can treat it.
Right.
If you have herpes and you have an outbreak, we do a C-section. You don't have a vaginal birth. By no means. Chlamydia, gonorrhea, we want to test that in your 3rd trimester because we want to clear it up so baby can have vaginal.
So back to the whole condoms
are your best friend unless you want to get pregnant and or have an STI. I like birth control plus a condom. And when I say birth control, I mean all the methods. Right. But condoms are your best friend when it comes to
regardless of
barrier protection.
Right. So regardless of what kind of pregnancy, what kind of birth control you're on, you should always.
Yeah. And there are female condoms. Everybody gets confused about those, but it's a condom and we put them in just like back in the day, I know a lot of people use diaphragms, so a female condom kind of is
like that.
round with whatever they're using in the middle with another ring. So when you get ready to have sex, put it in the vagina, you like stick it up there. So it's like a whole little barrier against everything. So, some guys don't like, what is the expression? I don't like, what's the raincoat thing?
To put on the raincoat.
Yeah, it feels like I'm walking the rain.
No, what
Like,
do they call it?
I don't know. I can't think, but it was the dumbest thing ever. I still
do
think
it.
it's stupid. And it's like, what? I can't feel anything. Yeah, you can. Like, I don't know.
Then I
Like,
don't know
what are you doing? Like, okay.
But that's really good advice for the teenage male, like that doesn't want to be a teenage dad. That's in your best interest.
Yeah. Like, women have
Totally.
a responsibility too. Women
Yeah.
can walk around. Women can walk around with a condom for men or a female condom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hey, take your birth control.
I mean, I have friends with sons, and they like, my one friend says, no, I put them all in their
Well,
their
and
underwear drawer or whatever.
I remember back in the
like,
day,
here they are. I'll buy
trying-
them for you.
I remember back in the day they were trying to put condoms and something else in schools. So like if you're gonna do it, and no, that's promoting sex.
I see.
No,
No.
that's protecting you. So they're gonna do.
They're
what
gonna do what they're gonna do. You don't have to give them a condom or put it on a billboard.
You just give them a little like crutch.
Yeah.
Can we give them a little breathing room? So if you don't want to talk to us, you don't want to talk to anybody else, at least you have some options.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you can teach them, but ultimately it's their responsibility.
It is. But at the end of the day, you get pregnant at 15, it's more than your responsibility. It takes a village. And it's your family, your sister, your brother, your mother, your father, your grandparents, and the friends around you. So it's an important conversation. Birth control is an important
I
conversation.
think that some of those TV shows now glamorize teenage pregnancy and having kids at when you're a teen. And I just don't, and I think even with social media now, they see it. And so then we're just going to add a TV program where we make these people famous, and it looks like it's so easy, and it is so not easy.
I have to say, I'm one of those people that I will check out a reality show in a minute. I watched
Did you really?
intently these like TLC like
Teen Mom,
and I'm like, if anything is birth control, this show is. I'm like, what? Your boyfriend is such a moron. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing right now? You don't have a job. You're living with your parents. Your parents are still telling you what to do, and you have a whole baby. You can't go out anymore. Your friends don't like you. They might like you, but they don't want to hang out with you.
For 5 minutes.
Baby. Yeah, I don't even want to for 5 minutes. I'm going out. Sorry.
I'm gonna go have cocktails.
Yeah, here's your baby. Here you go. Yeah, no. But I mean, I can see how there's just some people who were born, I think, to be parents, and they're gonna get pregnant at like 16 to 18 and love every minute of it.
Really?
Yeah, I do believe that. I've come across them.
Oh, okay, I could say that. I could see that. And then I could see them when they're, so I was an older mom, but I did all the things, and then I had kids. Yeah. But, if you have babies when you're young, then you do all the things. Hopefully you can do all the things when you get older. Right.
Well, here's another thing that like baffles me about birth control. So I've had so many patients, the hospital that I work for in New York, I would get patients that would come in and they would be 35 and under and have 4, 5, 6 kids. And they would say to me, I want a tubal ligation, which is permanent sterilization. Sometimes it's not 100%, but basically that's what you're going for. They're basically like, I don't want another kid. I will, hurt myself if I have another kid. There are doctors that will not do a tubal ligation if you're not 40 or over, because they think that whatever is happening in your life, us crazy, uneducated women would
Or
want
we're
to
just about to have,
meet somebody and must have their children. Like, no, we're not going to
or
do
that
it.
you're making the decision because your kids are young and they're driving you crazy,
No,
and that you're going to
basically, they
regret
say
it.
you're going to meet another guy and they're going to want to
Oh,
have kids. And then you're going to come back and sue me because I gave you a tubal.
I thought, you know what I thought you were going to tell me?
What?
I thought you were going to say without the husband's permission, because
No.
I have a friend who had, I think, had her tubes tied. And the doctor had to have her husband's permission. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to have my husband's permission to tie my tubes? That's not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most insane thing.
There's so many crazy things that happen between doctors and patients that are like left on the floor. And I hope that we get into all of them because they're stories that women need to hear. You need to know. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And I'm saying this because you need to start with your children early. You can't wait until they're 18 and think that they're going to start listening to you. Sprinkle it over their broccoli.
Plus,
Sprinkle it with their ice cream with some like sprinkle, like little by little, give them knowledge. Make them powerful. Make them know their worth.
make them know that they
a future.
Right. And it also helps them, if they're at a young age and you're giving them knowledge, it helps them, hopefully it'll help them crave the knowledge. So when they get older, they'll seek the knowledge themselves and they'll be able to be that healthier female, in every aspect. Because there's things that pop up when you get older that take you by surprise for your health.
Also,
like nobody
nobody
sits down when you're 30 and says, let me tell you what's going to happen when you're 50. No, we sit down when they're teenagers and we tell them about getting pregnant and birth control, but nobody sits down and says, oh, by the way, when you turn 50, you're going to gain 20 pounds and you're going to work your butt off to try to get it off, but it's not going to come off because you're in menopause
or perimenopause that starts as early as 35.
Right.
Like, and people don't know.
So people
But to that point, like, if you are that person that's sprinkling knowledge to your child and her best friend says, I'm going to have sex, but it's our first time and we're not going to get pregnant, so it's not a problem. And your child can say, no, mom and I had this discussion.
Right.
You most definitely can get pregnant.
Yes, 100%.
Like, that's what you're doing when you sprinkle knowledge to your kids, right? They spread it. They tell other women, they tell other friends. Like, it's like I keep saying, we're a tribe, we're a community. That's what we do.
Yes.
We help everybody do better, be better.
Yes.
And make it make sense because
because
you can get pregnant the first time.
And it's not easy. Life is not easy, and raising children is not easy. It's not easy when you're 30 and you're financially stable, much less when you're 17 and
I don't even know how to do it. I really don't. And commendable. There are people who are 15, 16, 17, 18 that have been amazing parents, and tip my hat to you. I just don't even know how you do it, but also it's just so much harder.
Yes, it's harder. It doesn't ever say, I don't think we would ever say that you would be a bad teen parent. It's not about being a bad or a good parent. It's about yourself. It's about who you are, and it's about your life, and it's about the opportunities you have when you're a teenager, when you're a young adult, that you might not have if you have a baby. I mean, by no means would I say, like, I think babies are freaking amazing. I think they rock, no matter what age, but it's just not ideal. Yeah. It's just not ideal.
I had someone tell me when I was saying this very thing. I think I was precepting when I was, in my midwifery program. And I said, I cannot believe how many people come in here under the age of 21 with 1 to 4 kids. And the midwife said to me, she goes, listen, She goes, I know it's not ideal, but you're fearless and you think you can do anything. And it
Yes.
may be the best time to have 3 kids when you're 17 and
You're
you
not-
don't know how you're going to do it versus
Because you just do.
30
You don't
and you're
overthink it.
thinking, oh my God.
Okay.
So, there's a up and a downside to everything.
Silver lining.
Silver lining in everything.
Yes.
But anyway, thanks for being here, Tiff. And I hope we made it make sense to you. Just text, email, not text. I'm not giving out my number, but definitely email
She doesn't
us.
respond to text.
Definitely emails with topics you want to hear. We'll be here weekly, making it make sense, and hopefully all of this made sense tonight. Thank you for watching Truth and Tonic for Women. If you have any questions, leave a comment and let us know. Also, follow us on social media to interact with the community. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.